We're coming to you live from Banjul, broadcasting for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. We bring you the weekday news. Our top stories this hour. President Adama Barrow arrives in Doha on Tuesday for a three-day official visit at the invitation of the Emir of State of Qatar, bin Hamad Al Thani. The University of the Gambia sets to introduce climate change as a subject to mitigate the threatening effects of climate change. Plus, in sports, a German-born Gambian, Paul Volta, switches allegiance to Gambia ahead of the 2020 Olympics Games in Tokyo, Japan. And Zimbabwe encourages its nationals not to measure late President Robert Mugabe by his last years in power, despite differing opinions on his legacy. These and many other stories coming ahead this hour. I am Fatulika Mulushi. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. It's good to have you with us. Now, the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, on Tuesday arrived in the state of Qatar for a three-day official visit at the invitation of the Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. President Barrow was received at the Doha International Airport by the Minister of the Municipality and Environment, Abdul Aziz Turki Al Subay, and officials of the Gambian Embassy in Qatar. The President is expected to hold talks with the Qatari Emir and other senior government officials on Wednesday. And a shift to our local stories back home, a three-day-long seminar on leadership skills for officials of the National Human Rights Commission is on the way in Kololi. Spearheaded by the African Union's Department of Political Affairs, the conclave is convened to build capacities of the Commission staff in strategic planning, prioritization, and community outreach programs. Usman Mane has more.
3 days event is tailored to support effective implementation of the National Human Rights Commission's program, cognizance of its establishment and the ongoing governance and institutional reforms within the framework of priorities of the National Development Plan 2018-2021. The program also seeks to outline action plans on the Commission's engagement with the ongoing transitional justice and security sector reform processes. In his welcome statement,
establishment and the ongoing governance and institutional reforms within the framework of priority given by the National Development Plan of the Gambia in respect of human rights. We are almost near completion of our complaints admissibility and investigation handbooks.
The Senior Program Officer, International IDEA, Maurice Egule, said his organization helps to strengthen democratic institutions and processes and to develop sustainable, effective, and legitimate democracies around the world. The representative of the AU Commissioner for Political Affairs, John G. Ekubaji, said the AU is committed to entrenching human rights in member countries. He recognized the high expectation on the National Human Rights Commission, noting that the recommendations of the TRRC will be critical on the effectiveness of the Commission.
This support is mainly to support the National Human Rights Commission to deepen the culture of human rights in the Gambia. It has been documented in different literatures that majority of the violent conflicts and authoritarian backsliding that characterize many nation states, particularly in Africa, are deeply rooted in weak states and political institutions like the parliament, political parties, national human rights institutions, to mention but a few.
In his keynote address, the representative of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Hussein Tomasi, resolves government commitment to the respect for democracy, fundamental human rights, and the rule of law. He said National Human Rights Commission serves as watchdog to governments to improve conditions of its populace.
It is now widely recognized that strong, independent, and effective national human rights commissions are a solid pillar for the rule of law, respect for fundamental human rights, and democracy. National human rights commissions hold governments accountable to the people they govern, as well as improve the human rights situation in any given country. Human rights commissions all over the continent are rising to the challenge of championing human rights in their respective territories.
The forum is expected to draft an activity plan and developments related to the establishment of the Commission. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Stakeholders in the business of climate change on Tuesday benefited from a day's tutorial on the subject, courtesy of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology with the University of the Gambia. Beneficiaries are expected to use lessons learned in their future actions to mitigate climate change. Zainabu Jani was at the program and filed in this report.
Research, BMBF, the day-long convergence on climate change and land use aims to educate, interact and discuss mechanisms to mitigate issues on climate change and its incorporation into University of the Gambia. Representing the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Suleiman Barry, explained the increasing climate change variabilities on communities to achieve socio-economic advancement, thus the Sustainable Development Goals. DPS Barry described that the synergy culminates with the year's feasibility study on climate change and land use.
We all know that land provides the major basis for Gambian livelihoods and well-being, including supply of food, fresh water, and multiple other ecosystem services, as well as biodiversity. We know that in the Gambia, more than 60% of the population relies heavily on land in the areas of agriculture, forestry, tourism, mining, and other activities. And because of this importance of these sectors to Gambian livelihoods, my ministry urges this seminar to come up with tangible solutions for the sustainable use of Gambian land use.
The Executive Director for the West African Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Land Use, Dr. Mumina Salvagado, held the partnership between his organization and the Gambia, thus the need for the training. He emphasized that the orientation of university students on climate change will mitigate the negative effects of climate change.
We are cooperating to establish and run together a program, training program. Initially, it was a master program, now upgraded to a doctoral program on climate change and education. And you know, education is a cross-cutting issue throughout all sectors. We are able to initiate additional activities in supporting that one, and then helping countries to have a number of
themes. A Pan-African Youth Forum, which attracted student leaders from TVET institutions across Africa, was a side event to the Kappa Annual International Conference. And now to the North Bank region, where a German foundation called Sabablu has supported a $1 million project in the North Bank region village of Balingo. The project is geared towards supporting young people of the country, particularly the North Bank region, to get skills training in agriculture and entrepreneurship, among others. Farmer Kanye reports on the project to be implemented by the Rural Development Foundation.
Skills Center in Balingo, North Bank region. The facility is expected to serve as a training center for young people with specialty areas in agriculture and entrepreneurship. The project is supported and financed by a German foundation called Sabablu, with their Gambian counterpart, the Rural Development Organization, as the implementing agency. The enrolled students will stay in these 12.5 hectares provided by the community of Balingo. Already, the organization have established a solar-powered water system to support horticulture for domestic consumption in the community. The chief of Upper Badibu, Ibrahim Tambajame, addressed a cross-section of society at the event. He described the project to be one of the avenues created to support young people in the region in skill training. The project, he went on, has also came to enhance horticultural production and microfinance to improve the lives and livelihoods of women and young people, particularly in Upper Badibu. Suwaibu Cham, board chairperson of the Rural Development Organization, believed that the project is part of efforts to support and complement government's efforts in creating jobs for young people.
Please, the hard work that you start the program with, don't go down the line and start relaxing. Because the spot that you are occupying, there are about more than 60% of the youths of this country that can occupy the same spot. So do your best, try your best, and give it your best, so that at the end of the day, when this program succeeds, you can raise your head and say, I was part of it.
The project is targeting young people of the North Bank and other regions. Enrolled students are expected to stay in campus throughout the course of their training. The German government continues to be a close friend and partner to the Gambia, supporting its development programs. This facility is one of the areas of support between the two countries and is expected to bring opportunities closer to rural youths to learn skills.
After the 2 years training, you will have confident, knowledgeable, creative, committed young people going out into this country and really changing youth.
Ibrahima K.S. Damfa, governor of the region, in his statement reiterated government's commitment in creating the enabling environment for NGOs to positively contribute in the country's development process. He used the occasion to thank the German Foundation for their support, whilst called on the youths of the region to make best use of the opportunity.
It goes a long way to cement the ultimate objective of the Gambia government. That is to make sure that we take our own development in our own hands with the support and collaboration of our partners.
The facility is first of its kind in a region that has suffered the greatest test of migration, from rural-urban drift to irregular migration to Europe. The project will allow young people of the region to stay and make it in their own communities. Reporting for the news, I am Famarakani.
And in the Lower River region, the National Enterprise Development Initiative, NEDI, has been providing tutorials in agri-food processing and entrepreneurship for dozens of youth across the country. Our regional correspondent, Alajimbai, has more on the exercise aimed at enhancing food security and self-reliance.
The 5-day training organized by NEDI with support from GIZ seeks to equip participants with food processing and entrepreneurship skills. The move is meant to encourage young people to venture into agriculture and business to reduce unemployment. In his opening statement, the CEO, Mansakonko Area Council, Paset Sise, advised young people to make the best use of the conducive environment and institutions created for youth empowerment.
Nowadays, we have seen so many institutions, so many NGOs, so many parastatals coming in for the youths of the country. I think the environment is very free and clear for the youths of the country. It's now left to the youths to capitalize on the chances created to make sure they live in decent lives. This training is very important. Training you is one thing, but making best use of the training is another thing. Don't wait for anybody when you are trained.
The general manager of NEDI, Abbas Ba, said the training is in line with his institution's mandate to provide young people with entrepreneurship skills and opportunities.
The mandate of NEDI is very clear, is to create opportunities for youth and women in the area of entrepreneurship. And this is what we are trying to do here today. I am sure you may know that also we are in partnership with the Agriculture Food Technology Service Unit, who are here today to help us in this very important training. They'll be handling the agro-processing, preservation, expertise, while NEDI will also be looking into entrepreneurship to ensure that you have that business skills that will be able to help you to translate what you learn here into businesses. Because we believe that government cannot create all the employment. But if we are able to have skills that can help us to establish our own businesses, it means we will end up becoming employers ourselves.
spoke of the importance of skills training in enhancing socio-economic growth.
It's important to be able to read and write, to be able to acquire all the necessary academic qualifications. But that is not enough in our generation today to live a dignified living. Therefore, the need for everybody, including those that are not even within your generation, to go back to the basics and acquire skills becomes necessary.
The program manager of NEDI, Mustafa Baji, and the representative of the Regional Youth Office, Nyanyambai, both acknowledged the importance of such trainings to youth empowerment. The duo advised participants to take the training seriously and make the best use of their new skills at the end of the program to improve their economic status. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
While still in LRR, Reliance Financial Services and the Mansa Conco Area Council on Friday reached an agreement to provide opportunities for organized women groups in the region to access loans from the microfinance institution, amongst others. We stay with Alajimbai for more.
The MOU seeks to strengthen the two institutions' collaboration and commitment to empower rural women through the provision of financial loans. Speaking at the signing ceremony in Soma, the chairman of Mansa Conco Area Council, Landing B. Sane, recognized the importance of the initiative in strengthening women's economic status.
I want to applaud the cooperation and partnership of Reliance Financial Services and of course the staff and council of Mansa Conco Area Council, the women of LRR and the youth, and the entire people of Lower River region. This partnership is supposed to be one of its kind that will bring financial services to the doorstep of women. Our aim and objective is to partner with Reliance Financial Services to support our women, especially our women entrepreneurs, to be able to be empowered and give their best in business and enterprise ventures as far as the development of Lower River region is concerned and the country.
Mamadou Diouf is the head of operations at Reliance Financial Services, and he is confident that the move will empower women in the region to be more financially independent. He said the initiative is in line with Reliance's resolve to contribute to the socio-economic development of the country.
Reliance, in its quest to support and promote the National Development Plan and Agenda, it's trying to use financial services as a platform to complement government's effort in bringing development to the doorsteps of their communities, particularly those of the women. Development has to be a collective effort. We are aware that government alone, and Mansa Conco being a representative of central government here, cannot do it by itself. The resources are limited, even though the will and the determination is there. That is why it is paramount that Reliance come on board and offer you this arm of support.
The Deputy Governor, Lower River Region, Keba Dabo, called on both institutions to remain committed to the agreement for the interest of all parties.
Mansa Conco Area Council, in partnership with Reliance Financial Services, shows the commitment that the council have for the welfare of women in the Lower River region. I have the belief that the council will jealously guard all funds that are being secured. I continue to believe that the relationship between the council and Reliance will be strengthened.
The Risk and Recovery Manager at Reliance Financial Services, Benedict Games, revealed that the women of Lower River Region have repaid all their previous loans without default. The CEO, Mansa Conco Area Council, Paset Sise, and the Chief of Jara West, Alaji Yaya Jajusi, both advised the women to make the best use of loans they will be given to improve their economic status. Previous loan beneficiaries shared their success stories through the Reliance loan scheme. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
To the Upper River region now, where the Gambia Association of Local Government Authorities, GALGA, recently presented cash donation to the Basse Area Council for onward delivery to disaster victims in the Upper River region. Our regional correspondent Sedu Kamara reports from Basse.
Local government authorities have presented handsome donation of cash to the Basse Area Council in support of recent disaster victims in the Upper River region. The Association of Local Government Authorities, GALGA, was established to complement the efforts of the area council across the country. The president of GALGA, Landin Sane, explained the objective of their association, adding that the gesture is in solidarity with the recent disaster victims.
GALGA is, of course, the consortium body for all the LGS, local government authorities in the Gambia, and by that token, Basse Area Council and all other councils are members in GALGA. So in that case, anything that affects Basse Area Council affect all other councils and affect GALGA as the consortium body. So that prompted GALGA to come and pay solidarity with the council, with the LGO of Basse and the entire region of URR, linking it to the disaster that happened during the start of the rains. It might come a little bit late, but I think it's better late than never.
The Deputy Chairman of Basse Area Council, Yuba Jawara, thanked the association for extending a hand of support to the disaster victims in their region.
So we are very much happy, and this is what we expect from them. You know, as a sister councils, you know, we need to show solidarity to one another in terms of difficulty, disaster, you know, and things like that. We have to work together, and we are very much happy. On behalf of Basse Area Council, we are very, very much grateful.
The coordinator of the National Disaster Management Agency, Hudul Collin, commended GALGA for the intervention. He called on other institutions and donor agencies to follow the suit, adding that disasters should be everybody's concern.
It will definitely go a long way in rendering services to the vulnerable people that were affected by the disaster. This is one of the things that we are advocating for, that when disaster strikes, indeed, we do advocate for prevention, preparedness, but inevitably it happens. We have to put hands together as a nation to come to the aid of the people.
The governor of Upper River Region, Fanta Boyan Samatemane, recalled that URR was hit by a serious disaster during the beginning of this rainy season and hailed GALGA for the kind gesture.
So we have to be thankful to all, especially GALGA that is coming up today with this big gesture. We are very, very grateful as a region, and we are very, very grateful as a council. And we also continue as a council and as a region to support GALGA and to pay our contributions, because they are able to do this. There is cooperation between the councils. That's the reason. Otherwise, they will not be able to do what they have done today.
According to officials, the cash donation of $40,000 is part of GALGA's efforts to complement the work of Basse Area Council in supporting the disaster victims and as well render quality services to people in the region. Sedu Kamara reporting for GRTS News from Basse Upper River region.
Well, we'll take our first break now. The sports news is up next. Do stay. Welcome back. Now in sports, a German-born Gambian, Paul Volta Lamin Krubali, is switching allegiance to Gambia. The youngster, who has a German mother and a Gambian father, has his eyes set on the upcoming Olympic Games. SSO reports.
24-year-old Lamin Krubali has made up his mind. He is ditching Germany for the Gambia, joining an elite list of athletes who have decided to forgo the riches of more powerful nations to represent his father's country. The Paul Volta is in the Gambia to formalize his nationality and age. Very little, or in fact nothing, is known about pole vaulting in the Gambia. But sports lovers in the country have over the years watched how other athletes from other countries compete in the field during Olympic Games and other major athletic championships. Lamin Coulibaly wants to wear Gambian colors when he eventually appears in the 2022 Olympic Games and other global events.
I already represented Germany in the USA, but it wasn't satisfied for me. The team spirit was not good as I think so. And I hope here for Gambia to start at the Olympic Games 2020 to represent Gambia, my father's country. So I want to pull up Gambia to represent them and show that Gambian can also pole.
His father, Alaji Dembo Saja Coulibaly, hails from Basse and has spent over 30 years in Germany. He is keen on getting his son to represent his country of origin.
I am thanking the Gambian authorities, for the full support they have done for us. For Lamin, for example, having his ID card, having his passport in this short time, and wherever we go, we always find doors are open for us. So I thank the Gambian and the Gambian people.
I was by the Under-20 World Championships in Eugene, Oregon, USA. And I was this year in Luxembourg, where I jumped new PB from 5.50 m. I were also in Italy and Sweden and France too.
The International Association of Athletics Federations, the IAAF, has a set of rules governing the change of nationality. Lamin must now meet a certain criteria before actualizing his dream of donning a Gambian jersey in major championships. The Secretary General of the Gambia Athletic Association told GRTS that Lamin's case has been presented to the IAAF Nationality Review Committee, and he is very hopeful.
All the formalities as per the requirements by the IAAF, we have completed all the formalities, now waiting for the nationality review panel of the IAAF that sits over and decides on the decision to be made, whether they will agree or disagree based on the things that they will be looking for. We are very, very optimistic because considering the conditions that have to be met, Lamin has met all the required conditions.
My target is next 5.60 m and then 5.70 m next year, 2020 in March. And I hope to qualify me for the Olympic Games 2020.
Nationality swapping in sports is commonly assumed to be a rapidly expanding practice. Empirical evidence shows that over 167 athletes have competed for 2 different countries. Lamin is hopeful he will soon be one of them. Esa Sow, GRTS News.
And now the Scorpions of the Gambia failed to sting as they lost to Negras Palancas of Angola in the return leg in Luanda 4 in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Well, for more on that game, we are now joined by our sports reporter, Famara Baji. Famara, welcome to GRTS Weekday.
Thank you very much, Malusi, for having me.
Now, once again, the Scorpions failed to progress to the World Cup group stages after another unimpressive performance against Angola. What do you think went wrong in yesterday's game?
Quite disappointing, knowing well that, you have all the advantage of playing home. You didn't take it. You went away. We can certainly say luck was not on their side, and Angola knew that they didn't have much to play for. They were not under any pressure. They relaxed, played their game according to how they wanted, and just allow the Gambians to be running within themselves. They know how to do it because they are playing home. Even though we also, they have less spectators compared to Gambia. It was fewer than almost 200 spectators there. So the Gambians didn't face the pressure with regards to the side of supporting. But actually, when it comes to the experience of the Angolan side, they know that they are playing against a side that is not well experienced. They know that they are playing against a side that they've collected the maximum 3 points against their own backyard. So they have to relax, allow Gambia to be doing all the runnings. Look at the goals they scored. I mean, they could have been avoided provided that the Gambia were very much focused. But that was definitely lacking. They know that they have to go out, they have to give it all out. At the attack, Angolans just hit them on counters and then got the 2 goals.
And then we actually saw that the coach actually did some changes in his fixtures. But the only difference that could bring was a goal and not a win.
Yeah, he should have done that here rather than doing that in Luanda, actually, because when you look at the team, you need certain departments to just rely on. Every coach or every team, there are departments that you said, okay, I'm going to use this department to play my game, to make sure that this department has to carry out my plans. Some will use their halfbacks, some will use in the midfield, some will use their attacks. And the coach, the strength of this Gambian team is the midfield and the attack. When you use that, it's quite easy for you to get anything. So he has to bring in Yusuf Njai in that midfield and then drop Buba Sani to the bench, start Ibrahim Akoli. I mean, Musa Barrow also started on the bench. It wasn't actually bad. He should have done that here. You have all this huge crowd behind you. People were roaring, shouting themselves. I mean, giving it all out in the stands there to make sure you do it. But the fixture was not good in the first leg. That disturbs the team. And that is what, I mean, they couldn't do in Angola. Provided that they have done it here, they've won 1-0. That 1-0 scoreline here is supposed to be for them. Provided that the approach was to be for them, actually, provided that the approach was good. But then the approach here wasn't good, so he was under pressure there. The players were under pressure there. They know that it's only a victory that can get them through to the next stage. But then it wasn't actually a bad game. They played well. I mean, the fact that they have to play away, that clearly indicated that a team that is attack-minded has to be given the chance to play the way they think they can. But if you want to tell them to come and defend, players who only knows how to attack, if you want to turn them into defenders, you end up disturbing them. Yeah, definitely, they will fail.
Now, finally, Famara, what's next for the Scorpions?
Another qualifying round. That is the AFCON preliminary qualifiers against Djibouti. I mean, a side that many people are looking low upon as far as this, the football level of Gambia is concerned. But I can tell you, Djibouti were able to cross to the World Cup group stage qualifying rounds, which Gambia were not able to achieve. And we are playing them. If they want to look low upon them, they want to underrate them, they could produce a soccer against Gambia. So they have to come back, prepare for that qualifying rounds, and that is going to be next month, to play Djibouti home and away. Let's see what we can get out of that.
All right, let's see what we can get out of that. Famara Abaji, many thanks for talking to us.
Thank you, Malusi. It's a pleasure.
That was GRTS Famara Abaji giving us updates on the Scorpions' defeat against the Negras Palancas of Angola. Beyond the Gambia, right after this short break, do stay right here. Welcome back. This is Weekday. Now, with differing opinions on Robert Mugabe's legacy, people are being encouraged not to measure the former Zimbabwean president by only his last years in power. CGTN's Farai reports from Harare.
On Friday, Robert Mugabe was declared a national hero, a deserved honor for a leader whose shortcomings some are saying shouldn't overshadow his achievements.
My appeal to you is have a balanced assessment of his contribution and of course also, but I think the president did a good thing to recognize that globally and as African, he is considered an hero.
Tributes continue to pour in as Zimbabweans look back on his checkered and eventful 37-year rule. One of the most defining moments of Robert Mugabe's presidency was when he took over white-owned farms and redistributed the land to the black majority. It set him on a collision course with the West, but left an unforgettable legacy for beneficiaries. Since 2007, Nyaradzawa Shire has been rearing livestock and plans to expand into horticulture on the 117-hectare farm she was allocated in the Mashonaland Central Province.
We will forever remember him, and we are so grateful for our grandfather, father, for what he did for us. If we look at it, I wouldn't have dreamed of getting such a piece of land, and because of him, we were going to have an inheritance for our children and our children. Nothing can replace what he did, nothing.
Washaya intends to be among thousands of locals and foreigners who are expected to give the former leader a rousing farewell.
The Mugabe we experienced in the latter years of his life is different from the Mugabe whom Africa knows. In the rest of Africa, they totally respect Mugabe. They love his Pan-Africanism. They love the voice he kept on raising at international fora. They love the power behind the person, the fight for Africa, the fight for an African to be recognized, the fight for Africa to have a seat in the United Nations. So how we view Mugabe and what he did for us in Zimbabwe and for us as a country in the latter years of his life is totally different from how others perceive him. So yes, he will have a huge send-off.
Mugabe is said to be buried at a shrine reserved for the country's liberation war heroes in Harare. No date has yet been set for the burial. Farai Mokutuya, CGTN, Harare, Zimbabwe.
Now, South Africa's Air Force Museum has hosted its annual air show at the Air Force Base Swart-Kop in Pretoria. The air show featured all the flyable aircrafts available. These include the renowned Vampire, Harvards, Alouette and Puma helicopters, amongst others. The show presented quite a spectacle. CGTN's Yulisa and Jamila has more.
The theme for this year's event is embracing our collective heritage, and it refers to the national liberation heritage and the inclusivity of all South Africans in the South African National Defence Force.
This is the inverted fly past. Look at that precision, ladies and gents.
Recognizes the collective and individual sacrifices of the members in pursuit and realization of the South African Air Force's mandate.
All role players in bringing about this heritage are being celebrated today. And when people ask collective heritage, then we look at where do we come from, the different walks of life. We're looking at the South African Air Force since 1994, brought together. We are celebrating that now, where we say all have contributed to this beautiful, excellent Air Force that we're having today.
We pay tribute. We pay tribute of our history, where we come from, and also the people who are more experienced than us, as youngsters who are still aspirants in our fields, learning from the people who have seen action and who have actually witnessed those times which were very hard, and for us to also be able to learn and keep up and uphold the culture and the traditions.
All operational and functioning heritage aircraft at the base flew with a civilian contingent. Enthusiasts adore the spectacle presented by this air show.
You always get the classics. I mean, the Mirage, the Hawk is always here.
For South African heritage, this is one of the best air shows you can find.
My first favorite airplane is the fighter jet, and it goes very fast, and it make a very big noise.
As the historical aviation hub of the South African Air Force, the South African Air Force Museum continues in its efforts by collecting, restoring, preserving and exhibiting the heritage and traditions of the Air Force and military aviation. Yunison Jamela for CGTN in Pretoria, South Africa.
Well, quite a spectacle indeed. And before we end this newscast, a look at our top stories once more. President Adama Barrow has arrived in Doha ahead of a 3-day official visit at the invitation of the Emir of State of Qatari bin Hamad Al Thani. The University of the Gambia is set to introduce climate change as a subject in UTG to mitigate the effects of climate change. Plus, in sports, a German-born Gambian, Paul Volta, has switched allegiance to Gambia ahead of the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. And Zimbabwe is encouraging its nationals not to measure late President Robert Mugabe by his last years in power, despite differing opinions on his legacy. That was all in this edition of Weekday News. Do stay with Grts for more interesting programs. Bye for now.
Shining